So the film begins. Valerie is a very good motivational speaker and is famous all over the world. Everyone has hope from her words. No one knows she is going through this pain. Every night she has terrifying dreams as if someone is pulling her into the water. The reason for all this is still not understood. After this, we learn about Paul's family, that his mother had died years ago. There is no information about her father, and he is also her husband who loves her very much. Today, she received a letter from her village, which immediately put her in a bad mood. Her sadness increased. She decided to meet her friend, but even that did not make much difference to her mood. She had been noticing strange changes in herself for quite some time, such as an intense itchiness in her head. At this time, she appears to be taking control along with her medication to reduce herself. Even after taking the medicine today, when her itching did not subside, she became worried and started searching about her itching on the internet. And seeing the results, she got very scared and shut down her laptop. Along with one more very strange thing. There were a lot of ants in her house. Where they came from and where they were going, Valerie had no idea. Following the ants, she saw a whole house made by ants inside her house. She saw all the ants and got scared. The next day, she had to go for an international tour for which she needed a bus. When she looked at her documents, she realized she didn't have her birth certificate. Perhaps it was with her mum, for which she went to her fire. Actually, she used to ask her aunt about the box her mom had left for her. But here she started talking a lot about her mom because she missed her mom very much. She told her about a locker address where that box went to the dam. Here, if Valerie and her eyes saw that the box was missing from here. These two became worried, so Valerie's aunt said, "I have come to your place and taken that box." She goes, and even today there was so much eating going on in the household. She was scratching her head with both hands. And the person sitting next to her started to find this habit of hers quite endearing. She doesn't understand this illness of hers. Even the doctor did not understand this illness, so she thought maybe it was genetic. Her mother might have had it too, and now she has it. For now, she had to focus on her international tour. Therefore, she decided to meet her dad. Before leaving, she tapped her head so that people would think we tapped our heads. Harishka. In the village, you meet your dad who was once a soldier but has now become a standard. Belly asked him if he knew about the box that was left for mom. His dad said no, he didn't know anything about it. There was also a very good painting in his dad's room. When Golly asked about that painting, her dad began to tell her the story of an entity named Sanchi. Actually, Sanchi was a parasite that lived with humans and called their spiritual power spiritual flower seaweed. The parasite stays with the person it possesses until it completely destroys them. The information about all these things was not available here. Before leaving, she steals her dad's chest and wants it in their locker without them behind. There, she did not find the box that her mum had left for her. But yes, she did find her boss's certificate, with which she began to leave from there. She heard the sound of a small child crying in the warehouse and felt as if the child was drowning in water. She followed the sound and reached a room. Inside the storeroom, many crows were cawing. When she tried to sit and look at them, she felt as if many evil souls were about to catch her from behind. She spread many hands on her shoulder. Before she could scream, she turned around and saw it was the cheek here. That means at this time, such hallucinations had happened, and now she was very confused. What happened to her today had never happened before. She had brought her dad's locker items. She set to look at it. The old pictures of her Damel were there, of her dad too, and of her mum from the time when she used to be a soldier, and her mum was a very beautiful woman. Seeing all this, Jaldi felt breathless. She still doesn't know how her mum died. In the pictures, Valerie notices a similar allergy mark on her mum's hand that she had seen on the internet while searching for her own allergy. And from here, it was confirmed to her that the current illness was also previously suffered by her mum and is related to her mum. The belly illness had made her very irritable, to the extent that she no longer behaved well with her husband, Ruby. She remained very irritable. Today, She had decided that she would not lose her mind tonight, so she wore gloves on her hands and tied them up before going to sleep. And in the morning, her eyes opened with a very bad jolt. She saw that there were no longer any gloves on her hands, and she had scratched her scalp so much that a lot of hair was falling out, which scared her. She takes this picture of her mum, which showed her allergy, to her aunt. Seeing this, aunt becomes sad and tells Valerie that your mum might have had some debt, some alcohol, because of which she died. I tried very hard to save her, but it was of no use. Calvi asked what Dad did about all this. They didn't tell her anything about Dad, just said to stay away from your dad. After a while, Dolby had to go for a photo shoot, where there were heavy lights with their shadows. She sees that someone is standing over her shadow, which frightens her terribly, but she didn't let anyone here express her feelings. She has now come home and even done it. She was coming to her senses. She scratched her head so much that it started bleeding, and this blood was also noticed in the trophy. Shoo. No, it's nothing like that. Bailey makes some excuse after seeing this shoot, and as soon as she opens the medicine drawer, her husband sees her birth control pills, and upon seeing them, a fight between her and me had already started. The gallery was also angry. She was struggling with herself, so she told Ruby, "Fine, you stay away from him, that's better." And this is how the rift in their relationship began. Valley was now living alone in her room. She had decided that every night she wouldn't feel like herself, so she tied her hands while sleeping. But when she woke up in the morning, she was worried because her hands were untied, and she had once again scratched her scalp until it bled. She now understood that whatever was happening to her involved some other entity. She couldn't open her hands herself. It was confirmed that someone else had untied her hands at night, and as soon as she got up, she noticed many bangles in her house again. She became worried and followed these bangles to their house. She wanted to see what these bangles actually did, so she started breaking the wall of her house, and just then there was a knock at her door. The brother was seen to be frightened, very worried for his team. He said that you were not answering my call, so I drove in worry. At this time, he wanted to tell something to Derry. He starts talking about the team. They say that your mother was a very good person, and today I will tell you how she died. Years ago, I was a soldier and I killed an enemy soldier. She was a girl. I don't know what power was within her that, after a month, came into me, and because of me, it connected with your mum. I later found out that she is a senshi, and when I learned about it, I tried very hard to save your mums. Sensibility, but I failed. Then you were born, and that century lovely sight came into you, and I know with you. Nowadays, very strange things are happening, and behind all of them, that sensi knew that after knowing these things, she would do a lot, so they mixed sleeping pills in her tea, because of which she fell asleep right there. And when she woke up, she immediately remembered all those things and started searching about her mum's death. She finds a lot of newspapers, clippings and things in her own house, which clearly stated that it was actually her who had killed her mum. Hearing this, she broke down. Suddenly, it starts raining. When Gary goes upstairs to close the windows of her house, she sees her mum's shadow outside the window. She sees the day, everything from the day her mum died. He saw that his mum was struggling, and then she was forcibly drowned in the water, and that's how his mum died. As soon as Barry sees her dad's familiar face, she immediately goes to her team to take revenge for her mum. Upon reaching their house, she scatters 11 items and asks herself why did you kill my mum? They say, I didn't kill your mum, I wasn't saving too. That Sanchasilican was stronger and I kept losing. Your mum died. That Sanchi kept fighting like this, but the railway no longer believed their words. But diary told her your demand. In fact, she wanted to save you from this Sanchi, and in the process, she took her own life. But even after dying, she failed in her purpose. She couldn't save you from that Sanchi, and now that Sanchi is with you, it is very important for that Sanchi to be finished to save your life. Now these things seem scary to Wally. She leaves her dad there and goes back home. The next day, her seminar was the biggest seminar of her life, an international tour. She didn't want to become a spectacle in front of everyone. Her show started in front of everyone. Many people had disappeared here, and the ratings were very high. She called a girl on stage and started her speech. She stood the girl in front of the mirror and told people that until you are not troubled by your inner self, you cannot do anything. While saying these things, unwillingly, she was scratching her hair in her gap. At this time, in the remaining moment, along with the shadow of that woman, she saw another shadow standing behind her. Seeing that shadow, she gets scared because she knew it was Sanche. Today, upon seeing her and knowing her truth, she was overwhelmed to the extent that she started scratching her head. And all the people, seeing her condition, went crazy. Not wanting to make a spectacle of herself, she leaves the stage and goes to sit in her car. Even after doing so, she continued to scratch her head. She scratched her head so much that a hole formed in her head, into which she inserted her finger. Due to her finger touching it, she suffered brain damage and stopped understanding everything. He fainted right there. At this time it was Robbie who, seeing his poor condition, took him to the hospital. Upon reaching the hospital, Valerie's life was saved, but there was still a big problem over Valerie. She was still with Barry, who is first shown in the hospital's dark environment. He was on top of Valerie, bothering her, but at that time Valerie was just enduring it. But script, he was hitting Valerie on the head, which made her head itch. But Valerie still didn't scratch her head because now she knows the truth. She is not afraid of it, she wants to confront it. As soon as Valerie started facing her fears, her condition began to improve. The control of the censor over her started to lessen, and some credit for her improved condition goes to Robbie. So he was taking great care of her these days. He was always forbidding Valerie from touching her head because touching her head had caused many parts of her body to become paralyzed, even her legs, and now she found it quite difficult to walk. She was learning to walk in a new way. Now, while sleeping, Valerie scratched her head. Robbie tied her hands. But when he woke up in the morning, he saw that her hands were untied. Barry had scratched her head. She also had scissors, which made Robbie feel like her hands spoke for themselves. He got angry. Seeing this, she didn't want to get better on her own, and he was working so hard on her. Golly tried to explain that she did all this herself. This is the truth. But he was not ready to listen to her. Robbie had now left her in anger. Valerie had become completely lost. She was losing. She needed someone's support, so she wants to watch her own notification video, which gives her a lot of comfort. She had decided that she would fight that anti-Asiani Shanshi herself so that all these issues would be resolved. She gave Robbie a sedative and put him to sleep. Then she went to her room where there were many mirrors. Here, she started shouting loudly, "Tell me, who are you? What do you want in front of me?" No one came in front of her for a long time, but soon after, a scary hand emerged from a bottle and grabbed Valerie from behind. This hand actually belonged to Sanchi, who had finally appeared in front of her as Auntie D. She comes forward and in her scary voice tells Valerie that I will not spare you. She had grabbed Valerie and placed a knife on her neck. Valerie was also terrified and screamed loudly. Because of this, Ruby also regained consciousness and found herself tied to the seat. He tries to free his hands and feet and calls out to Salary, so that he wants to show us Salary. She is now preparing to cut her hand so that she can never find her head. She made a path on her hand and placed it under a cutter. But how could any human cause themselves pain? Despite trying several times, she couldn't cut her hand. But then she gathers courage once more, quickly comes in front of the machine, places her hand under it, and suddenly runs the cutter over it. Using her hand, she drew blood and it came onto her face, and her hand was in a lot of pain. A lot of her blood was also flowing out. After trying to control it by tying things up, she cleaned the blood from her mouth and decided to cut off her other hand. Gallery was thinking that someone went behind her, who grabbed her from behind, and this time Gallery was not afraid of him doing so. Sanchi said to scare him, I will eat you. I will drink every drop of your blood. Larry keeps him engaged in conversation and suddenly lowers his hand, with which she was planning to cut her other hand. Hearing such sounds coming from here, Lobby was getting worried. Here, Valerie, after fighting with Sanchi and losing her hand, picked up the machine and started attacking Sanchi with it. She thought that doing so would kill Sanchi, but it did not happen. The parts of Sanchi that she had cut began to regenerate, and now when she sees all this, she starts to feel scared of the events and begins to prepare to escape from here. She was trying to escape from there when Sanchi came over her and said that now I will not leave you. So Valerie said to him, not even a child now. Saying this, she took herself underwater with a learning and froze underwater. As soon as she dived into the gallery's water, Sanj also jumped into the water with her, but water was her biggest enemy. He began to dissolve in that water and Valerie tried to stop him by holding his hand. And today she understood why her mom had jumped into the water that day. She had jumped to kill that same Sanchi, and her fear had nothing to do with her mom's murder. Her mom's death was because of this Sanchi. Their death was not a murder. It is described that Ruby somehow frees himself and comes out to find Valerie drowning in the water and quickly jumps into the water to rescue her. While bringing her out, we saw a small black child in his hand. This was a small variant of Sanchi, meaning Sanchi had weakened, and after being placed in the water for a short while, it dissolved and ended in the water itself. In the post-story scenes, we are shown Valerie, who had a baby. It was shown that her severed hand had been reattached, and she was very happy with her baby. When she was feeding her son, at that time, a small thing was shown on her son's face, which leaves us questioning whether Sanji is really over or not. And with this, the movie ends here.